Hey guys, Bitmaster here, coming back at you with another tutorial on socket programming in Delphi. In this tutorial, however, we're not going to be using traditional sockets, we're going to be using WebSockets. So essentially, what you'll need to do is write a client and a server. And again, also, again, guys, this is straight up, this is the same thing that we've been doing in like 4 or 5 other videos. Again, the only difference is we're using WebSockets this round instead of just traditional TCP sockets. So I've already written the client, and I'm going to show you what I've done. I dragged and dropped a button, an edit, and a socket component to the form. Now this socket component can be found on the TMS FNC Websockets tab. It is called a TMS FNC Websocket client. Okay, so in order to get it to work, what I've done is, I'll just show you the code and explain it to you. So we set up the host for the client to connect to. In this case, I'm using my localhost computer, so I'm just typing the word localhost, which will resolve to 127.0.0.1. And then the port to connect on is 3434, and then we're telling the socket to make a connection. Now, upon connecting, this event will fire. So when the client is able to connect, we're going to disable the edit and the button, and we're going to make the button's caption change to connected to show the user on the form that we are in fact connected successfully. Now, down below that, we're sending over a command structure with a pipe. So we're sending over newcon, and then we're sending over our nickname to the server so it knows how to identify us. Under that, we have message received. So whenever the client socket receives a message from the server, we're just making that equal to the caption of the form. Okay, so whenever we receive a message, it's just going to show right up here where it says client right there. Alright, so that's it. The client is fully written. We're going to start working on the server now. And the server's blank. We're going to start working on that together. So we're going to need us a list view component. I'm going to drag and drop a list view component on here. Make a couple of different columns. Select these. Make sure that they're auto-sized. The caption of the first column will be IP address. And the second column will be nickname. And then we're going to, after I get the bullshit error out of our face, go to the bottom and we're going to do report style so we can see the captions, the columns themselves on the GUI. And then we're going to add a status bar. So here's a Win32 status bar. We're going to right click and go to panels editor, where then we're going to make 2 panels. They're going to be a width of 150 each. That way it gives them plenty of space for what we're doing here. And I'm going to type in the first one is server status offline. The second one will be clients online. And we're just going to put a 0 in there because there's no one online to start with. And get the bullshit error out of our fucking face. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to grab our socket component. So we're going to need a server socket component, and this is going to be a WebSocket component off of the TMS FNC Websocket tab. I'm going to rename this to server socket. And we're just going to kind of toss it up here in the left corner. And we're going to save. We're also going to save the client. Okay, so whenever the form gets created, the first thing we want to happen is start up our server. So let's look for onCreate. And to do this properly, we're going to just simply type in, we're just going to simply go ahead and begin typing out self.serversocket.port is equal to 3434 because that's what the client's trying to connect in on. And then we're going to activate this listener socket. Self.serversocket.active is equal to true. Now it's listening on port 3434 for active inbound client socket connections. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and update our status panel. So our status bar, self.statusbar1.panels0.text will be equivalent to something. That's going to be server status online. Okay, great. Now, guys, a real quick overview of these sockets. These sockets are WebSockets, so that's the main thing you need to know. And they have a bunch of code in them, which we'll have to essentially use hooks the way that this developer, the developer that wrote these things, he made very specific things for us to be able to like use in our code to help manage client socket connections on the server side. So in order to achieve this, we're going to have to create our own class to kind of wrap around stuff that he's done. So to do that, we're going to make a type, and this type class is going to be called tClientInfo. It's a class with its own public properties inside of itself, or public variables rather. Nickname will be a string for the person's nickname that's going to be kept up with. And this is the confusing part. This is the part I was trying to tell you guys about. This is the part where essentially we have the ability to lock onto kind of this developer's code. He gave us a very specific type to be able to lock onto, to be able to keep up with socket connections. So we're going to call it connection for our own simplicity's sake. But unfortunately, this part's not simple. This is a really long type name, and I really wish that the authors would do a little better on their naming convention for all this crap. But it's TMS FNC Websocket Connection. And I mean, I know it's simple, but my God, having to type all that out is a pain in my butt. But anyway, there you have it. Now we have to create a private declaration on the application, and we're going to have to make up our own like list of connected clients. So we're going to call it fconnected clients, and we're going to do tObject_list, which is a tClientInfo dot create. Actually, we'll just do this. Now we have to create it. So in order to do this properly, we have to add generics.collections, and then we have to go down to onForm create, where we're going to actually create this thing in memory. So in total, guys, I want you to understand this. We have our type class declared, okay? So we're able to make it. We also have our own private list of tObject_list that we're going to call fConnectedClients, which is a type of our class record, our class, right? So now we have to create this in RAM, in memory, whenever the program runs, so that we can call it and be able to loop through all of our connected clients later on. So we're going to type in fConnectedClients is equivalent to tObject_list tClientInfo dot create. And that is it. Now we have the ability to add people, delete people, loop through people, and all kinds of cool stuff in between. So we're going to save that. Now, whenever the socket receives binary data from the opposing endpoint, which is the client, so let's go back to the client code real fast. Whenever the client sends data, he says he's sending bytes of new connection type and the nickname. This is binary data. It's being sent as binary data because it's bytes, okay? So whenever the server receives binary data, we can start doing some stuff here, okay? And in order to do this properly, we're going to do it the same way that we've been doing it the entire time in all our other videos, which is to create a SL, which is a tString list, and a list item, which is a tList item, because we have a list view that we'd like to add this stuff into. And we're also going to have to take the extra step to create client info, which is our type record, tClientInfo. Okay, so now then we can start programming. We're actually going to do a try statement and a finally. So we're going to create our string list. SL equals tStringList.create. And then we're going to do SL.StrictDelimiter is true. And then we're going to go SL.delimiter is equal to one of these bad boys. And actually, I've kind of done this out of order. It's good programming practice, guys, to make sure that you create it, create the delimiter, and then set strict delimiter after. And then what we're going to do is type sl.delimited text. It's going to be equivalent to t encoding.utf8.getString. And this is the bytes that we're actually receiving here. So it's actually looks like it's a data right here, because that's bytes, so it must be receiving a data as t bytes. So it's just a data in here. Okay, so now we'll come down and say if SL0 is equivalent to new con, then begin end, and we can start doing some stuff in here. So if we receive the new con command from the client, that means somebody new needs to be created. So client info is equivalent to tclient info.create, and then we're going to say client info dot nickname is equivalent to SL1, and the client info dot connection is actually equal to this this right here, which is a connection. So I'm going to copy that. So let's just paste that right there, a connection. And then we are going to add this person to our t-object list. So fConnected clients.add client info. So there you have it. We just added them directly to our stuff. Now I'm going to create a list item and add them to the graphical interface. So li is equal to self.listview1.items.add. li.caption is equivalent to let's see here. It's going to be a connection.peerIP li.subitems.add sl1. And now we want to update the number of connected clients. So we're going to type in self.statusbar1.panels1.text will be equal to something. And inside of this, we're going to put, let's go back to our graphical interface. I said clients online. So we'll just put clients online, and I'm going to do like this plus let's do int to str fconnected clients dot count, and then plus, and we're going to add this little thingy to make it look nice and neat. Okay, great. So there you have it. That's that. Let's save. Now, what we're going to be able to do, let's take a quick peek at what we've got so far. So we create our program, we listen on this port, we say that we're online, and also when data gets received from the client, we handle it properly. So everything is looking pretty good. We're adding them to our memory. We're able to loop these users and do whatever we want to with them. So essentially, we're going to need to grab ourselves a pop-up menu. So let's grab a pop-up menu, slap it down on the form, and let's design that pop-up menu just real fast. So on the first portion here, we're going to put send message to all clients. And on this portion, we're going to say send message to selected client only. And then we're going to assign that pop-up menu to the list view 1. So look for the pop-up menu property on the list view and assign it the pop-up menu 1. So now when you right click on this, you'll get a menu, and whenever you run the program, it'll actually show the pop-up menu. Okay, so it's also known as a context menu, by the way. But anyway, all right, so there we have that. So at this point in time, we want to also handle the onDisconnect event. So let's go ahead and get that out of the way. So when we click on the socket, when someone disconnects from us, we want to be able to remove them from memory and also remove them from this list. So let's go ahead and do that. So on this, we're going to need a way to loop. So I can already tell you we're going to need an I. so we can loop. So we need an integer value for looping. And we're also going to need a nickname. I can tell you that straight up, because without that, we don't know who we're talking to or who's disconnecting or whatever. So for this, we're going to do for I is equal to 0 to we'll do f connected clients dot count minus 1. So now that we have that, we'll begin doing some coding down here. Now, if f connected clients I, the one we're currently looping over, dot connection is equivalent to the current connection that's actively disconnecting, which is right here, by the way, then we begin. The nickname is going to be equivalent to f connected clients, and this is going to be the I, one that we're currently looped over, dot nickname. Okay? And then we're going to break out of the loop because we no longer require that. And now that we actually have this whole ordeal set up here, let's go ahead and pop on down to this. So we actually are now completely out of that loop, and we're going to continue on. So we're going to remove this user from our internal connections list and remove them from memory. And then after we do that, we're going to remove them from the list view. Okay? So we have to handle two things here. First of all, well, three things. First of all, we have to find the person we're looking at that's disconnecting, so we actually know who's disconnecting. Then we have to remove them from memory. Then we have to remove them from the list view so that they're appropriately removed from both different places. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to say for I is equal to, let's do this a little differently, guys, because I think we can't just, I don't want to use a traditional like 0 to whatever in this case, because we're actually going to do it in reverse order. So we're going to do a down 2 type thing. So we're going to do for I is equal to f connected clients dot count minus 1, but then we're going to go to down 2, 0. So then we can begin and do some coding. So if f connected clients I dot connection is equivalent to the current connection here that we're messing with. So copy this, paste this. If it's equal to this person, so like if the one we're looped over is actually the person we want to get rid of, then we're going to get rid of them. So f connected clients dot delete an index of I, the one we're currently looped over. And that's all there is to it. And now we can come on down here. And I would normally break that, but I'm just going to leave it because it looks really solid to me. So that code should work fine. You may want to put a break in here, but I'm not going to. So, because this is just an example, and we're not going to have many people connected anyway. So now we come to the last portion, which is going to essentially be removing the person from the list view itself. So we're going to do for I is equal to low to high. So again, I think that we're going to do another down to type thing. So let's just do self.listview1.items.count minus 1 down to 0. Do begin, and then we're going to come if self.listview.items I, the current one we're looped over, dot connect. Let's do items I dot subitems 0, which is going to be their nickname parameter inside of the list view. If it's equal to the nickname that we've already locked onto up here and broke out of that loop. So this remains the same throughout the rest of this code. You see that? Did you catch that, guys? Like we're looping through, We're finding them if it's equal to the nickname of the person, and nickname, the string of nickname, becomes permanently etched as that person that we're trying to screw with, right? So down below, we still have that from this loop up here. And then we're going to be able to loop through and delete them out of the list view. So if the list view items I sub item 0 is equal to the nickname of the person we're trying to get rid of, then begin end. And this is exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to say self.listview1.items.delete, and the index is I, the current one that we're wanting to delete. And then we're going to break out of this loop. Okay, guys. So then down below, we're going to copy this code that we had here for updating the number of people that are connected to us, because it's literally just the same code. So we're just updating the status bar with the people that are actually online. Okay, so guys, so far so good. Now we have to code 2 pieces of information and we're done. These 2 are the last bits of info that we have to program in to be able to send messages to all clients and be able to send messages to a selected client only. So let's start with broadcast command, which is going to be sending a message to every client connected to us, okay? So in order to do this, we're just going to essentially just have to lock on to every client and send. So let me do some thinking here. We'll just do a variable. We're going to do a client, obviously, because for every client that we're going to loop through, I want to make a client variable. It's a T client info, so it points directly to our record. So we're just going to loop through what we already have, everybody that we've already stuffed into this for this class here. Okay, so so right here, we're going to say for, and this is not going to be correct. Delphi thinks I'm going to do something else, but I'm not. I'm going to do for client. So for every single client in F connected clients do. And for this, I'm just going to say client.connection.send, and it's asking for a string message. Okay, great. So this will be message to all. And that'll be all there is to it, guys. That's it. That's how you broadcast to everyone. Okay, so now we're going to go and we're going to program another one. So let's look at the send message to selected client only. So on this one, this is the one that's a little bit more tricky, if you will. So in order to do this, we're going to have to create a couple of variables. So let's make a couple of variables. First one's going to be the client ID and the client themselves, which is a T client info, which is the same thing we did before, except one step different is their client ID. We could call that nickname, but oh well, whatever. Okay, guys, so at this point, if no one is selected on the list view component, so if you didn't select somebody, if you didn't select somebody on this thing, we don't want anything happening. So to do this, there's like several different ways we could do it. Easy way would be if self.listview1 item index. We'll just do if the item index is not -1 or not nil, basically, then we can begin writing some code. All right, guys. So at this point, we're going to say client ID, the person we're looking to mess with, is equivalent to self.listview1.items, and then we're going to go self.listview1.itemindex.subitems 0. So it is the current person that we've selected's nickname. So the client ID becomes the person we've selected's nickname off of the list view component. You see that, guys? You understand? Really simple stuff, okay? So now then, we have a lock on the client via their name. We need to be able to loop through our clients, find that client, and send only to that person, that client, okay? So for each client, so we're going to go for client in F connected clients do begin, and then we're going to say if client.nickname, is equivalent to client ID, then begin end. So you see how we're kind of looping down into the nitty gritty of this thing so we can actually send to that person? So we're going to say client dot connection dot send message only to you. And then we're going to break out of this loop because we don't want to send to anyone else once we found the person we want to send to. And that's it, guys. That's how you send to one singular person with this socket library. I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to go ahead and let's just, for shits and gigs, guys, let's just go ahead and give it a try. I hope I didn't forget anything. I'm pretty bad about that, but hopefully I didn't. Let's just click run and see if it works, okay? Okay, so here we have our program, and we can right click and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and run the client. And once the client is able to run, let's go ahead and pull that client over here. And I'm going to type in client1 and hit connect. Okay, everything looks okay. Looks like we've got one client online. Let's click on the client, right click on the client, and let's send a message to all clients. And as you can see, it says message to all was received. Okay, so that works. So now let's try sending only to the selected client. And as you can clearly see, the message only to you did work successfully. I misspelled connected. Look at that, guys. CONNE. What the hell what was I smoking, bro? All right, so just destroy that client out and everything goes away. Let's go correct my horrible spelling habits. I don't know what the fuck I was smoking that day. Okay, so there you have it. So I'm going to run this one more time for a final test run. And I'm going to give you guys a full-blown sample. So we're going to run like I don't know. Let's run like 3 clients bare minimum. So there's the server. Here's a client number 1, number 2, number 3. So we'll just do like 1, and then I'll do 2, and then I'll do 3. So let's go 1, 2, 3, and okay, so here's the deal. Let's right click and send a message to all clients. And as you can clearly see, every single client got that message immediately. So now let's send a message to client number 2. So this one in the middle here is number 2, okay guys? So if I right click on him and I send a message to that client only he received the message to him, right? So now to reset this, let's send a message to all clients so we see that. Let's click on client number 1 and send only to him, and then only to 2, and then only to 3. And as you can clearly see, it works 100%. So if I close out of the client number 2, he goes away. You see that? And then if I close out of client number 1, then he goes away. And if I close out of client number 3, he goes away. All right, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video tutorial on WebSocket programming in Delphi. These sockets can be used on VCL applications as well as internet-based applications and web programming. So if you guys are good with like HTML and all this other stuff and making your own websites and stuff, you can actually write your own web applets and websites with sockets implemented into them. Delphi actually has its own server components that you can run and actually create real-time web applications. You can actually develop this same program for the web, which is really cool with these sockets. So yeah, guys, I hope you liked the video. I really do. And if you do, please don't forget to comment, share, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And I will be making more content like this for you guys in the future with many different socket libraries. Again, I'll be taking this to the next level really soon, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to perform different streaming techniques for sending audio, video, files, all sorts of really cool stuff coming up. So stay tuned. Until next time, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.